so glad that you hit play on this video. I just wanted to put together a bit of a little class, a masterclass that's going to support you in creating some really epic goals for the rest of the year and to help set you up with really motivating goals that are going to support you, because often we will set goals that either we're playing small or we are, setting goals that feel achievable because we're staying safe, or we don't set them in a way that's actually motivating. So I wanted to put this together for you so that you have the opportunity to pause and then journal, or pause and then make some notes and really, create an epic next 6 months. So in financial year, we're stepping into a whole new 6 months, a whole new year financially in regards to our businesses. So it's a really good time to reflect and reset. And so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to dive straight in. So I called it my 2021 Success Masterclass and how to make the next 6 months count. So I really want you to come to this session with a bit of curiosity, because I think when we set goals, we can often be quite hard on ourselves, or we can go, oh no, that's not possible. And so then we don't write it down. And so with this, I really want you to challenge yourself to write it down anyway. That brings zero judgment to this session, because the more that you can allow yourself to dream, the more opportunities there are to actually attract that into your existence, right? Because we are a magnet. And if we're setting out these intentions, we're telling the universe, like, this is what I want, then the universe will conspire with you to create that. So I believe that it's all about declaring what it is that you want. So come to the session with a willingness to learn and a willingness to get it wrong, and know that, if you've set goals in the past, then I'm going to sort of challenge you in different ways to do that. But I'm also going to challenge your brain to expand in a way that maybe it hasn't before. And so I want you to be able to have that focus and determination to move through that, and that willingness to push and expand your brain, because what is possible for you, the only limit is literally here, right? The limit is what you tell yourself is you are limited to. So today, what I'm going to take you through is what it's going to take to make the next 6 months of the year successful as hell, how to set expansive goals so you can see where you're playing small, how to set out goals so they're motivating as fuck, and as well as how to break them down so they're super achievable, and how to create needle moving activities that will set you up for massive success for the next 6 months. So grab a pen and paper if you haven't already, and let's dive in. This is one of my favorite quotes from Rachel Hollis, and I want you to think about it from the perspective of goals. Only you have the ability to change your life. So we want to take ownership of that and take responsibility for that. We get the choices here. We get to choose what we want to set. We get to choose what action steps we want to move with in regards to the next phase. And only you get to change your life. And that with setting goals and allowing yourself to dream big, you can change everything about what's happening for you right now. So my first question that I would love for you to journal on is just to set us up for today's session, is firstly ask yourself, what must happen for you to deem 2021 a successful year? So if you need to pause the video here, I'm going to keep going. And so I want you to pause here, journal as best you can for this answer, and then move forward. The next lot of questions are about the decisions, because every time that we set a goal, we need to set a decision, right? There needs to be a line in the sand. There needs to be a space where you go, yes, this is what I do want, and this is what I don't want. So this is going to set us up for that goal setting section. So firstly, what decisions do you need to make in order to honor yourself? Because sometimes we'll set goals that are so far out of the realm for our possibility of what's going on for us with kids and family and life and relationships and business and all of the things mixed in together. Sometimes we'll either go too big, so we'll set massive goals that are so far out of the realm of possibility, and then we berate ourselves because we don't achieve them when they were actually unachievable in the time that we set, or we set themselves too small because we're not honoring the decisions of those goals that we've made. So I want you to stop the tape again, and I want you to spend some time journaling on these questions. What decisions do you need to make in order to honor yourself? What decisions do you need to make in order to elevate yourself to the next level, right? Which means what do you need to let go of and what do you need to say no to? In different elevations of your business, there are times where you need to start saying yes more, and there are times where you need to start saying no more. So think about where you are in your journey right now and what that needs to be for you. Then the next ones are, which I want you to continue on. So if you haven't paused just yet, go back a little section and then stop and journal on those first, and then come to these ones. Who do you need to expect more from? And where do you need to get uncomfortable and what needs to change. So these are different elements that I want you to consider. So who do you need to expect more from? The automatic response is often ourselves. And that's not necessarily what I actually mean, because your success is not just about you. There's your whole team around you. So maybe you need to expect more from the people you work with. Maybe it's your assistant, your VA, your support team. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's your kids. Like, there are elements there where we go, what do we need to expect more from? And in that, I would then think about, how do I need to better communicate my needs in that situation in order to get that support? Okay, so who do you need on your team in order to create this next 6 months to be excellent? And then where do I need to get uncomfortable? So sometimes we've gotten too comfortable in an area where we go, oh yeah, that's probably where I've stayed pretty safe. Where do we need to get uncomfortable, and what needs to change? So these are some really good questions to journal on, and just to start to think about expanding your mind in those ways. So once you finish these ones, we'll continue on. Now I want you to think about the next 6 months. What would you need to do here if you had nothing to justify? What would you do? Sorry, what would you do if you had nothing to justify and nothing to prove? And this is where we want to come back to a place of recognizing our next goals, our next dreams for the next 6 months. Are they ours or are they somebody else's? Because sometimes it's about defining what success means for you and getting really clear on what that looks like. And then go, what would I do? If I was not here to justify or prove anything, what would I do here? Yeah. So each step of these, if they're really hitting a chord, if they're triggering you in some way, I want you to write down how that makes you feel. And I want you to write down the answer to these questions as you go. Now, so you may need to go back if you need to, but otherwise we're going to dive into now our goals. So I want you to get really specific here. So what are the goals for the rest of 2021? Do you need to reflect on goals that you've had so far and consider, are they goals that I actually want to continue to pursue? Are they ones I need to let go of? Are there new ones I need to put on my list? So what would you like to achieve this year? And I'd like you to consider from the business point of view. Now, there are other elements here that I want to bring in. So the first 4 are financial goal. And if this feels uncomfortable, please stretch yourself. I want you to write down a number, because, and then if this is challenging you, you need to let me know, because we need to work on that. So financial goal and impact goal. So who do you want to impact? How do you want to impact them? Is there a business milestone maybe you have in mind for 2021? So a number of clients, number of sales, a different growth phase, like, registering for GST or hitting, maybe it's 150 or maybe it's 250, like thinking about what it is that you want to hit, growth phase in your business. Do you want to step away, right? Rather than being the operator in the business, do you want to step out of that a little bit more? That's what I mean by growth phase. So different areas of consideration there. And then what's your visibility goal? So that might be number of followers. It might be expansion on getting into front of new networks. It might be growing your audience in different areas, like starting to consider those key things. And the other things I want you to consider here as well are things like your lifestyle, your working hours, your experience of your working time, right? So do you need to consider working with less clients but a much higher quality, so you need to charge more? Or do you need to work with more clients? Like starting to think about those types of things as well. And then how it impacts your lifestyle. So once you've got a few of these written down, we're going to get clearer and clearer as we go. So we're going to expand on these, okay? So we want to make sure that the goals that we've written down so far are based on the SMART model. So I've evolved this to the SMARTer model, which I'm going to explain what that means in just a moment. So we're going to start firstly with just the SMART acronym. So what that means is we want to make sure that they're specific. So if they're not measurable, they're not specific enough. Okay, so S&M. So I want you to go back to each goal that you've written down and go, is that clear? Is it really specific on what it is that I need? And is it measurable? So what I mean by that is that how do we know we're getting closer, or how do we know we're getting further away from that goal? How will I know that goal has been achieved, right? Because sometimes we can go, oh, I'd like to be more confident. Well, what does that mean, right? I would like to speak in front of audiences of 1,000 rather than 200. That's much more specific, right? So starting to get as clear as you possibly can with the goals you've already written down and make sure that they're measurable, right? This is really important. Otherwise, we just don't know whether we're getting closer or further away, and it's much harder to assume that we've actually achieved it. The next one is to look at it and consider, is it achievable? consideration of that, right? Like sometimes we'll be mindful of like, oh, I want to make $1 million this year, but we haven't even hit 10K months. And that's like, well, I don't know if that's really possible, right? I don't know if that's really achievable. So I want you to consider that without like lowering your goal too much. Okay. So make it achievable, obviously, because we're considering the next 6 months. Now, you may want to go out and do the full 12 months, right? So you may want to consider this from where we are right now. You want to go the whole financial year. That's totally cool as well, because I'm going to help you break them down even further. So if you want to go 12 months, do that too. And then make sure that they're realistic. So realistic for what you want to achieve, because often we will set goals that are outside of what's realistic for us, and it's not really what we truly want. Then we want to make sure that they're timed. So make sure you're adding a date on when you would like to achieve them by. So whether that's 6 months, 12 months, 3 months, whatever it might be for you. And the last two are emotionally connected and ready. So this is where we start to figure out whether it's going to motivate us yet. So often when we set a goal that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed, that's all good and well. We're missing out two of the most crucial things that make it motivating. First one is whether it's emotionally connected to us. So I want you to look at each one. So I want you to stop the video and I want you to look at each one and go, why is this important to me to achieve this? Am I really truly connected to it? Do I really want it? Because if it's not, scrap it, because you're not going to actually pursue it. You're not going to be motivated to take action towards it if you don't really truly want it. So why is it? I want you to write down under each goal why it's important to you. And this might be right down to, this is important to me because I will become a role model for my kids and I really want them to see mum achieving this, this, and this. Or it might be like, well, this is really important to me because I've always said to myself, I really want to be able to speak on stages, or I really want to be able to support other people. And my way of doing this is this. So it's actually connecting you due to your why, really. So we want to get down to that real emotion that's connected to it, because otherwise it's just not motivating, because we need the emotion piece for it to be motivating, because emotion is literally emotion, energy in motion for us to take action. Action is driven by emotions. So we've got to make sure that they're emotionally connected. So I want you to do that first with each and every one that you've written down. And then consider these for each and every one. So for each one that you've written down, I want you to score it out of 10, 0 being like, this is how ready you are, how committed you are to wanting to achieve it. So 0 being, I'm not committed at all. 5 going, oh, that's kind of what I want. Yeah, no, I'm kind of there. And then 10 like, no, I'm absolutely committed to this. This is absolutely going to happen. I'm going to make this happen. So how committed are you to them? Now, the reason why I do this is because this helps to really uncover whether it's truly something that you want to do, because this will uncover some fears sometimes, or it will actually uncover the fact that it's someone else's goal that you've put on your list because you think you should do this for whatever reason, right? Now, this helps you to really look at it and go, okay, why am I not committed to this? So with every goal that you've written down, I want you to write down a 0 to a 10 score for each and every one. And then review it and ask yourself, so say it's at a 7, what would make it a 10 out of 10 fully committed? And then write your answer down to that. And then if it's lower than a 7, ask yourself, what would make me fully committed? And is this something that I really want to do? Because maybe it's not, right? Because I would rather you set goals, like set 3 epic, like emotionally connected, specific, measurable, achievable, timed, realistic, and really ready. Like you are ready to take massive action on that. It is much more effective for you to have small, like not small, but specific 3 to 4 goals that you are going to smash, rather than actually go, oh, I've got 10 goals and I'm kind of only half committed to half of them. Does that make sense? So we want to really start to consider that here. So go back and score from a 0 to a 10. Which ones are you most committed to? All right. Now it's time to expand your mind a little bit bigger, because we want to start to uncover where we're playing small or what fears might hold us back. Because with every time that we set goals, as either we're creating ones that are not motivating, which is what we've just gone through, or we're creating goals that are highlighting where our fears are. Because as we're expanding, we're growing, and that's going to highlight areas where we're scared. It's going to highlight areas where the imposter syndrome is going to show up. It's going to highlight areas where we need to grow our confidence or our competence. And so this is a good thing. So again, I want you to come into the session with curiosity and no judgment, and allow yourself to really expand to figure out where those fears are coming from, so then we can shift them. So with every goal that you've written down, so you should have a financial goal, an impact goal, a business milestone, and a visibility goal. And with those, I want you to times it by 10 with each and every one, to sit down and look at each one and go, if I times that by 10, what comes up for you? Because the fears that are holding you back at the 10 times are actually holding you back from where you are right now. So we want to start to uncover these. So if you times it by 10, so say you wanted to mentor 5 people, what if you said, well, actually, I want to mentor 50 people? What does that bring up for you? Write it all down. Yeah. Say you want to hit $150,000, right? That's your goal for the financial year for next year. What if it was 1.5 million? Right? Then see what fears will come up as that, as you write that down. Same with your business milestone. Same with your visibility. What if you're actually aiming to make 500,000 followers instead of 5,000, right? Like, start to really consider those 10 times goals to start to see where those fears are going to come out to play. And with each and every one, I want you to write them all down. More awareness that you bring to this, the easier it is to overcome. The more we can come to that place of acceptance and realizations of, yeah, actually this fear is still playing on my mind, we can work through that. Okay, now that we've got those really big goals that are like scary as hell, we want to step into an expansion goal. So this will actually help us uncover where we're playing small or where we're playing it safe. So often we will have some goals on our list that are like, yeah, I absolutely want these, and they're big and they're scary and they're amazing. And then I've got other goals that are like, oh, I'm pretty much going to do that anyway. So like, I'm going to put it there so it makes me feel good. Right. And so it's like, we want to consider, where are we playing? And then look at this as an opportunity to expand your mind of what's possible, and then up level your action steps. Right. This is about creating your next level action plan. Okay. So stay with me here. I want you to create a little grid that looks like this on a piece of paper. So we've got on one side your 2021 goals, and we've got your next level action plan. So I want you just to choose one to begin with. Okay, so let's just say your financial goal. And I want you to think about it like this. On the in the left-hand side, I want you to write down the times by 10 financial goals, the big scary one. So 1.5 million. And I want you to ask yourself as if this was your actual goal. If my goal was to hit $1.5 million this year, what would I be doing in order to achieve that? And I want you to write down all the steps that come to mind. And this will take a few minutes. So I want you to set aside that time and really expand your mind, because your brain will actually come to a point where it goes, that's all the ideas that I've got. When it gets to that, I want you to push it even further and keep thinking, what else would I do? What else? What else? What else? And just keep asking yourself, what else? What else? What else? And each time you do that, you'll find something else. And it might be something that you might do or you won't do, but put them all down, like write them all down. That's why we want to have this space. Okay. And then choose your next goal. So maybe it's like, we talked about 5 mentoring clients. What if it was 50 mentoring clients? If I wanted to get 50 mentoring clients this year, what would I be doing to achieve that? Right? So we want to expand your mind. What would I be doing? Well, I'd be sharing regular videos on the different ways that I mentor. I would be sharing new ways to work with me. I would be sharing the testimonials or the case studies of the clients that I've worked with in the past. I would be trying to get in front of new audiences. So I'd probably be approaching podcasts, group programs, doing collaborations where it might be like Instagram lives or things like that with other people to get in front of more people, right? To access more people to consider working with me. I might look at PR opportunities, right? I might think about, well, for me to attract 50 mentoring clients, I'm probably going to have a different opt-in in order for me to attract that type of client. Okay, for me to do that, I might need to have some support with the VA to actually help me with more specific content that's going to go in that direction. Right? So it starts to expand your mind of what's possible to a whole new level. And so I just want to put a little caveat here. I'm not saying to you that this has to be your new goal. That's not the purpose of this. I'm not saying that you have to go, well, now I have to go start aiming for 50. No, this is to really highlight where you're playing small. Okay. So this is a separate little section we're utilizing to uncover what your next level action plan. And this will make sense in a little bit. So just work with me here. So then take your next goal, times it by the 10, and then write down, what would I be doing if I was truly considering this to be my financial goal or my impact goal or my visibility goal? What would I be doing differently if that was truly my goal? And write down all the ideas, okay? And when you've done that, come back and we'll keep going. We want to create some inner and outer alignment. And so what I've taken you through just so far is 3 different elements here. Sorry, I'm going to do this. 3 different elements here. We have looked at the brain, the heart, and the gut. Okay, so this is creating inner alignment. So what we need to do to create that inner alignment, and the first piece is get our thoughts and beliefs intact. So we want to make sure that we can achieve it and we're capable of achieving this, right? So we want to have that belief system to back us up. So the reason why we then go, okay, specific goals, achievable goals, want to make sure that they're connected to our why, is then unpacking the heart section. So we're making sure that our goals are emotionally connected to our values, and we're emotionally connected to them. This is really important to me because, right? And then we go into the action piece, which is what we just did with the action plan. So here, what I want you to do is start to consider these 3 things. So what do I need to believe in order to believe that I can achieve this? So again, next to your goals that you've written down, and hopefully you've got 3 or 4 really juicy ones that you're considering. And I want you to write down, I can achieve this because, I'm capable of achieving this because, right? So start to build those belief systems to back you up. The next one is, this is really important to me because, and write down, this is going to help you unpack your why. Now you might be doubling up on what we covered before, but that's okay. And the last thing is, here's the steps I'm going to take to achieve it, right? So exciting to get super clear on creating this inner and outer alignment. Once you have those goals, we want to then break them down to make them super achievable. So we want to consider them from a 1-year perspective, a 6 months perspective, and then a 90 days. So we want to break it down. So we might go, well, the 1-year goal is to have 50 mentoring clients. The 6 months goal would then be 25 clients. And then 90-day goals would be obviously the 25 divided by 3 months. So we want to look at that from that perspective, but we also want to look at, okay, what's my action plan? We're going to break this down. What's my action plan? What do I need to do each of the 1 year, 6 months, 90 days to make it super simple? So we want to take the goal, put it in a 1 year line, then break that down to 6 months, and then break it down to the 90 days. Okay. And then I'm going to share with you one other thing that I really love to utilize, which helps me keep on track and motivated as we go. This is where we're creating priorities lists. So we're going, what is my main priority of the goals, right? We want to consider that from the top perspective. Actually, I just want to add something here, right? So we want to go how we break down the goals from 1 year to 6 months to 90 days. By now, we should have a really clear action plan of what we need to do each of the 1 year, 6 months, and 90 days. And then what we want to do is we want to go back to the expansion goals where we wrote down that next level action. And I want you to take 1 or 2 little pieces from there that you wrote down that you go, yeah, I can absolutely do that. So we're adding in some next level action, right? Because that's actually going to help you get towards your goal faster. That's ideally what we want, right? Like, instead of playing small and going, oh, well, it's achievable, I'll just expand it out and just take my whole sweet time to get there. No, we want to see what are some of the next little action pieces that we can start adding in to make sure that we're moving forward faster, okay? And then from there, we want to consider, well, oh my God, now I've got to go take this back to my life now and go, how am I going to fit all this in? Right? I get it. We can then go into a bit of overwhelm, but I want to show you how you then consider, how you break down your priorities. So this is the way that I look at it. This is how I structure my weeks, because this is what's most important when I consider about keeping my business moving forward. There are key things that need to be considered, right? My first and foremost, my most important is what's client-centered, what is client-focused. So that's any client work, responding to client requests, resolving any client needs, and creation for future clients. So it might be things that we're working on. It might be, I need to get their gallery back to them. I need to get this back to them, whatever it might be. All of my focus each and every day of the week is client-centered, right? Then the next piece after that to keep my business running is money-generating activities. This is where obviously invoicing, sending out proposals, doing any lead gen, doing my accounting, following up any potential new clients, creating new client connections. All of that is then going to be my secondary most important priority. Then my next thing is my team focus. So whether you have a team or not, depends on that. My team will then be, okay, need to organize some team meetings. I need to follow up with some things that they're working on. I need to support them with what their next steps are, whatever it might be, or I need to focus on their performance. So remember how we went back and we were talking about who do I need to expect more from? Sometimes it's that. So sometimes we get to those growth periods and we need to go, actually, I need to delegate more. I need to offload more. And so this is where that will come into play, right? To support you moving forward. The next priority is I look at, this is where some of those bigger goals will come into play, my needle moving activities that are going to support my business to expand. So they're activities that are related to long-term goals, course creation, PR opportunities, brand awareness activities, program creations, new products or offerings, like all those little things that you want to start to bring into the world, but you haven't actually taken the action on them just yet. So that's actually where I will slot in some scheduled things throughout the week in order to make sure that I'm working on that long-term goal. Otherwise, you can find that 3 months, 6 months goes by and you've done nothing on them, and then you're still way behind where you want to be. So it's about what you do weekly rather than what you do monthly to 6 months, right? So rather than thinking you need to set aside massive amounts of time to create these new things that are going to move your business forward, we want to break them down and make them super simple to adjust and add into your week as you go. And then lastly, which are things that obviously still need to get done, but I find that I need to get my needle moving activities done first before I then do the behind the scenes, which is things like admin, website updates, content creation, marketing plans, systems and procedures. And they're kind of fitted in. So some weeks I'm like, okay, they're really important. So for me to be able to get the team more focused or to be doing better money generating activities, I need to be working on the behind the scenes stuff, which might be systems and processes, right? So that will actually take priority of the needle moving activities. But then I always make sure that the week after I'm back to doing the needle moving activities, because those bottom two will kind of interchange each other depending on where you're at in business and what you need to be focusing on in order to grow. Make sense? If you have any questions about this, please just reach out. I'm more than happy to answer them. All right. So now we have some really epic goals. We are really clear on what I want to have, what do I need to do, right? The action steps. The last little piece, the missing piece, which I feel is most important in order to move forward, is who do I need to be in order to achieve this? So now that you have those really clear goals set out, you want to map them out and you want to schedule them into your diary for the next 12, 6, and 90 days. And then consider, who do you need to be in order to take action on those? And if we focus on embodying that person, the outcome is a foregone conclusion, right? The activity is something that is part of who you are rather than it's something that you have to do. Does that make sense? So I want you to consider that. Who do I need to be in order to achieve this next level goal? And lastly, because goals aren't about the outcome that you achieve, it's about who you become in the process. So lastly, I just want you to consider, when you look over all the goals that you've written down, if you were to achieve all of them, would you be happy with the person you became in the process of achieving them? And if they are, then right on point exactly for what you need, and are most likely going to be very motivating for you to want to work towards. So that's it from me. I hope you really, really loved this little mini masterclass. And if you have any questions, if you got stuck anywhere, if you uncovered some fears that were like, oh my God, let me know, we can work on them. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of the session, and I hope you enjoyed this session, sorry. And I'm wishing you an incredible next 6 months.